You know that weird feeling like someone's watching you even when you're absolutely sure you're alone? Yeah, that's exactly how it all started. And trust me, his isn't just another scary story made up to freak people out. No. This really happened. Some folks say there are certain hidden trails deep in the mountains that hold more than just trees, fog, and silence. They hold secrets. But hey, let me introduce myself before anything else. I've always been the kind of person who never really bought into those ghost stories people love to tell. To help you understand, I've always been a little stubborn. You know, the type, someone who loves a challenge. So every time I heard locals warning about the dangers in the mountains, stories about strange figures moving in the dark, whispers coming from the trees themselves, well, guess what? I decided to head straight into the woods. To prove there was nothing supernatural. If regret could kill, I wouldn't be here telling you this. And let me make one thing clear, I didn't just wander up there for fun. It was supposed to be a camping trip. Me and 2 friends. Just one night. Enjoy the quiet of nature. Escape the madness of city life. But that night turned out to be anything but peaceful. I thought I was ready. I thought I was prepared. Until I realized that, in those mountains, when the sun goes down, fear takes on a shape. And the shadows? The shadows come alive. That mountain. Man, even looking at it on the map gives you chills. It's way out there, surrounded by dense forest. Fog so thick it feels like part of the scenery. The kind of place where the silence is so deep it's almost painful. Out there, even the sound of your own footsteps feels like shouting into the void. And when night falls, the shadows stretch, twist, like they're trying to swallow you whole. Locals call it the Mountain of Souls. Sounds cool, right? But trust me, meaning behind that name is anything but cozy. They say that for generations, people have reported seeing strange figures, hearing whispers, things that don't belong to this world. Some believe there are spirits that protect the land. Others say it's cursed. Whatever the truth is, one thing's for sure, anyone who steps in never leaves the same. What's wild is that from the outside, it just looks like a regular place. Dirt trails, tall trees, a stream running through the forest. Honestly, it looks like something straight out of an adventure movie, like the perfect spot to pitch a tent and laugh around a campfire. But take a few steps deeper, and everything changes. It's like the forest itself starts breathing differently. The air gets heavier. The fog thickens. And if you really listen, you start hearing whispers. So faint at first, just enough to convince yourself it's the wind. But it's not. Even before we reached the trail, we started noticing something off. At the gas station, the corner store. Anytime we mentioned we were heading up the mountain, people gave us that sideways look. You guys going up there alone? They'd ask, trying not to sound worried but totally failing. And yeah, every single time, there was always that half-joking, half-serious warning: if you hear footsteps, don't look back. If you hear someone calling you, pretend you didn't. We laughed it off. Thought it was just locals messing with outsiders. But it wasn't. There was this old man, Mr. Arlindo, pulled us aside, serious as hell. His voice was raspy, shaky. He looked straight into our eyes and said, "A lot of folks went missing up there. There's something in those woods that doesn't like being disturbed. If you see shadows, walk the other way. And if the fog closes in, drop to your knees. Stay quiet. Wait until it passes. What we didn't realize, or maybe didn't want to realize, is that this wasn't just a story. These were warnings. Real warnings. At the time, we tried to brush it off. But looking back now, I wonder if that wasn't the first real sign of what was coming. We started the hike late in the afternoon. At first, everything felt normal. The trail was actually kind of beautiful. Surrounded by trees, the smell of wet earth in the air. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, the mood shifted. The silence got heavy, like the whole forest was holding its breath. At first, we tried to shake it off. It's just an animal, someone said. But then, the whispers started. You know that sound? Like someone's murmuring right in your ear, but you can't make out a single word? Yeah. That. Coming from every direction. It was like the fog itself was speaking. With every step, the sound got clearer, closer. But impossible to tell if it was coming from ahead, behind, or inside our own heads. We glanced at each other, nervous laughter, pretending everything was fine. But it wasn't. Not even close. And then, it happened. A voice. Deep. Distorted. Almost metallic. Calling my name. The second that voice stopped, the silence got even heavier. The kind of silence that actually hurts your ears. And that's when we saw it. There. In the dark. Between the trees, barely visible through the fog. A silhouette. Standing still. Not moving. It looked like a person, but something was off. Way too tall. Way too skinny. And the way it moved. It wasn't right. It didn't walk. It glided. No sound. No steps. Just there. It tilted its head. First to one side. Then the other. Like it was watching us. Measuring us. Then it vanished. Only to suddenly reappear. On the other side. Fast. Way too fast for the human eye to follow. And man. That's when the real panic hit. Because before we even realized it, we were surrounded. No way out. The whispers came back louder. Harsher. Mixed with this weird static, like broken radio noise. And in the middle of all that, this overwhelming feeling that something was about to happen. Something that would change everything. Forever. We ran. Didn't look back. Just sprinted down the trail, tripping over roots, clothes getting shredded by branches. But the faster we ran, the faster it felt like they were chasing us. The shadows. Gliding behind us. Moving like smoke. Popping in and out of the fog. Until suddenly, up ahead, we saw it. An old cabin. Crooked. Half hidden in the trees. No second thoughts, we bolted inside, slammed the door shut, and piled anything we could against it. But that's when the real nightmare began. First, the pounding. Loud. Violent. Like something Samianwa was slamming against the walls with insane strength. None of it made sense. How was this even happening? I swear. With every hit, the floor shook. The windows rattled like dozens of hands were shoving them at once. And it wasn't just pounding. There was breathing. Heavy. Ragged. Right outside. And footsteps. Slow, dragging footsteps, circling the cabin. Every time it completed a circle, the pounding came back harder, faster, more desperate. And in the middle of that chaos, one horrifying realization: this won't stop until they get in. Until they're inside. The tension was unbearable. Every second felt like it stretched forever. None of us said a word, because deep down, we knew speaking out loud might draw more of whatever this was. The fear was choking. For a moment, the pounding stopped. Everything went quiet. But not the kind of quiet that brings relief. No. This was the kind of silence that screams. And that's when I felt it. They weren't trying to break in anymore. They were watching. Somehow, you could feel it. Like something massive was inside. With us. The whispers were everywhere now. Some right in our ears. Others coming from under the floorboards. From the ceiling. From inside us. And then the temperature dropped. Not just cold. Not just shivers. But that kind of cold that sinks into your bones. Into your chest. Into your soul. That's when I realized this wasn't just fear anymore. This was terror. Pure, suffocating terror that makes you forget how to breathe. And man, I can't even explain how. But after what felt like hours that felt like days, it all just stopped. The craziest part? When we finally stepped out of that cabin, there was nothing. No marks. No footprints. No scratches on the door. Nothing. Like it never even happened. But we knew. Oh, we knew. Our faces pale. Hands shaking. Eyes wide. Barely able to speak. That trail. That had been a nightmare just hours ago. In the daylight, it looked like any normal trail. Same dirt path. Same trees. But nothing felt the same. The forest's morning silence was different. Not the suffocating silence of the night, full of whispers and shadows, but a cautious silence. Like even nature knew that something much bigger than us had claimed that place during the night. And as we walked back without saying a single word, one thing was painfully clear: we were never, ever gonna be the same. That place, that mountain, left a mark, a scar. Invisible, but permanent. When we got back to the village, people looked at us differently. No one even needed to ask if we'd seen something. They already knew. Mr. Arlindo, the old man who'd warned us, just shook his head and whispered, "You were lucky. Real lucky." And then he told us what most of the locals already knew. That mountain isn't just woods. It's sacred ground, guarded by ancient spirits, protectors, entities that defend that land, and punish anyone who enters without respect. He explained that long before the village even existed, that mountain was considered sacred by ancient tribes. Right there, where now it's just trees and fog. Rituals were held. Offerings were made. And according to tradition, the land was sealed. But over time, people forgot the old ways. Forgot the agreements. The forest didn't. It remembers. It guards. And when someone dares to enter doubting, disrespecting, the shadows come. The silhouettes take shape. And the whispers begin. They told us That place isn't for everyone. Some manage to get out, like we did. Others aren't so lucky. And what Mr. Arlindo said next. You'll never forget they don't just want to scare you. They want to remind you. Remind you that some places aren't meant for everyone. And when people forget, they make sure you remember. He was right. And if there's one thing I can guarantee, it's that I've never forgotten that night. Even now. Sometimes, in the quiet, I still hear it. A whisper. Faint. Way in the back of my mind. Like someone reminding me, I know who you are. And the craziest thing? After that night, everything changed. I started noticing things. Little things that most people ignore. Details. Signs. Because if before, I thought ghost stories were just stories, now I know. A lot of what we call legends aren't just legends. They're warnings. Living memories of something real. Something we can't explain. And honestly, sometimes understanding isn't even the point. Sometimes, just showing respect is enough to survive. And to this day, whenever someone asks if this story's real, I only say one thing: not everything that lives in the shadows wants to be found. And once they find you, they never forget. Ever. So now, let me ask you, after hearing all this, do you really think it's just coincidence? Just imagination? Or maybe, deep down, there's a lot more hiding in the shadows than we're willing to admit. I'll tell you this, no doubt in my mind there are things in this world that simply can't be explained. And maybe they're not supposed to be. Because sometimes knowing isn't safety. It's the one thing that gets you just close enough to realize the unknown has always been closer than you ever imagined. And you know what? After that night, I've never been the same. You start to see that life has layers, way beyond what our eyes can catch. You learn to listen to the silences, respect the whispers, and never trust the shadows. And the scariest part? This doesn't just happen at the Mountain of Souls. No. There are forests, trails, alleyways, forgotten places, full of stories, of legends, of sightings, everywhere. Maybe even right near you. How many times have you felt that sudden chill? That feeling like someone's watching, even when there's no one there? So hey race, my honest advice, maybe even a warning: respect what you don't understand. The supernatural doesn't need your belief to exist. And do yourself one favor. Don't look back. Just keep walking. And hey, if this story made you think, if it left you with that little chill, or that strange itch to know more, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and get ready, because there's a lot more coming. More legends, more stories, more things you'll never forget.